We are recording. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. I don't know that I've had this many people in this. Well, no, I've had this many people in this room, but in total, we've got 35 folks on the Zoom. Thank you for joining us. We've got tons of people here in the Ward office as well. Thanks for coming out on this rather dreary evening for a community town hall update on the Puitak Christian School located at the Old Henry's Bait Shop location. I'm going to continue to let people in on Zoom. Folks who are on Zoom, if you've got questions, you can raise your hand, but we're probably going to take questions at the end. We're going to allow for the folks that are going to be presenting to do so. And then we'll make sure we take questions at the end. If there are questions that you want to ask, but you don't necessarily want to ask it live, you can put it in the chat. One of my staff members is working the chat as well. So we are monitoring that. With that, I'm Alderman Lee. Thanks for being here. You're in the 11th Ward meeting here on today is actually no, it's not Tuesday, it's Wednesday. I'm so confused. Sorry. Wednesday, April 9th. Contrary to what Facebook told you, it's not Thursday the 10th. That was my fault right here. Sorry about that. But you're all here, so thank you for making it here. We're going to provide an update tonight for folks just to ground everybody kind of where we are. The property was purchased by the Puitak Christian School before I took office, actually. So the zoning is currently zoned C2-3. There is not a zoning question before us. The school is able to be constructed on the property with the current zoning. What we're going to be doing tonight is to provide an update to the community, which hasn't really been done in quite some time. A lot of progress has been made by the school on design, and they're going to provide for us also a report or an update on planned demolition. So we've got with us tonight several members of the team. I'm going to hand it over to Bonnie Ho, who is the principal at the Puitak Christian School, and then we'll be managing a presentation for her as well. Do you want me to start sharing the presentation now? Okay.
Yeah. Good evening. Thank you very much for coming to this town hall meeting. Thank you for contributing in developing the community and putting value to the community. My name is Bonnie Ho. I'm the principal of Puitak Christian School, and today, with representing the school, besides myself, we also have our vice principal, Principal John Postma, and the school building committee. Heading that committee is Tracy Moore. Also Brian Lee, who has been with Project Nehemiah since day one, contributing his architectural expertise and really committed to the project. And we are thankful for his leadership. And another member sitting on the committee is Gary Munson, and also Juan Perez Willer. Okay, he is not on site right now, probably online. And both John and myself are also sitting on the building committee. And from Urban Result, we have our development consultant and owner representative, Aaron Levine Kabanaki. Did I pronounce it right?
Close enough.
Okay.
I can barely pronounce it.
Okay. And Alliance Demolition, we have Mike Diederich, and he will be joining us online. And from KLOA, we have Andrew Bowen, also joining us online. From our architecture design team, we have Future Firm, representing Future Firm, we have Anne Louie and Craig. Where are you? Right there, okay. and Linda over there. And then site design, we have Rob Royland, right there, okay. And then from DBHMS, they probably will not, but they are on our team. And we also have Rocky Structures, Erickson Engineering Associates, and QIS Consulting, co-consultants. So these are the wonderful folks who've been walking the journey with Puitak Christian School. They might be joining us day one, they might be joining us somewhere along the line. And so for those who might not be familiar with Puitak Christian School, just a few words about the school. Our mission is to equip young learners academically and spiritually to be future leaders for God's kingdom. And our vision is to see children rise to their potential and succeed in all spheres of life with joy and strength of character.
Do you want also?
Want me to-
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
can you
yeah.
advance it? Oh, I'm
Yes.
so sorry.
It's okay.
So we
So you can
skip.
see the cute picture.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Next
all right,
slide,
okay,
yeah.
there we go,
There
there
we
we go,
go.
okay. One more.
One more?
Yeah.
Page down one
Yeah.
more? Okay.
Mhm. So I will go like that, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I
you-
didn't see the
Just
back.
click me, okay?
I didn't-
If you
Okay,
click there, I'll follow you along.
okay, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's a good idea, yeah.
I'll just watch yours.
Okay, okay. So the school carries 72 years of history. We were founded in 1953 by the Chinese Christian Union Church in Chinatown. At that moment, the whole idea was to prepare new immigrant children for kindergarten. And now, after 72 years, the school has grown to become not only preschool, early childhood, but as well as all the way up to 8th grade. We run day school, we run after school, we run summer programs. Inclusive and diversity is also our commitment. We are committed to like open our making education accessible to families like with all background and faith. We do not require people to be Christian to enroll in our school. As a matter of fact, about 80% plus of our new incoming families are not Christian. And we are mission driven. We are committed to accessible and affordable tuition to all families.
I went to nursery school at the Freetown Christian School.
Alumni,
Oh, I am alumni, because back then it was just nursery school.
right? For the demographic, currently about 74% of our students are Asian, 50% are African American, 6% are multiracial, and 4% are white, and 1% is Hispanic. And I believe after we move here, this figure is going to change. We're going to increase seeing more Hispanic student benefit from the education. For after school, the demographic is similar to day school. Also, family that we are serving, about 32% plus of them are from low income or impoverished financial background. And then about a little more than 50% of all PTCS students consider ELL, meaning learning English as a second language. And with the whole child approach, focusing on social emotional development, caring for where they're coming from emotionally, and also working on character education, students were able to excel in their education. So when they graduate, you could see the data is from 2018, even though we carry 72 years of history, but we did not start our elementary until much later. So these are the data that we receive from the time that we have elementary graduates. 61% of them will enrolled in Chicago Selective Enrollment School. 16% of them enroll in faith-based private high school. 10% of them move out of city or move out of town. And 6.5% of them enrolled in non-faith-based private high school, as well as 6.5% enrolled in public neighborhood high school. Standardized testing score. This is the most current one, 2024-25. As you remember, majority of more than half of the students are learning English as their second language. Even so, we were able to rank 81 national percentile in language, art, and reading. Those who are testing, actually 43% of them are ELL. And 85%, we were able to rank 85 national percentile in mathematics. Project Nehemiah is all about giving value to the community. As we dream about Project Nehemiah, we thought about how Project Nehemiah, how the new campus can be beneficial and add value to the community. We will be expanding definitely community program. Right now we have an after school enrichment program. That program is going to take a different shape, expanded it to be we are planning to develop into a structured art school during after school hours. We will continue with Kids Corner as well as tutoring. And definitely our summer program, hopefully we will no longer see wait lists on our summer program. In terms of community partnership, we seek community partnership because we know that for community development, no one single entity could do the job. We need to join hands together to build a better community. The new gymnasium, which is also our multi-purpose event space, is designed to be able to host a lot of community events as well as program. This is just a few that we listed here, like voting drives or town hall meetings or ESL classes or tutoring. For early childhood, we definitely are expanding it. Right now, we could only accommodate 3 years old, 4 years old, and 5 years old because the facility is not capable to go any lower in terms of age. But we see the need that there's a high need for 6 months and above. So then in the new building, the design is able to accommodate infants, meaning from 6 months to and then toddler, and then 2 years old, and then 3, and then 4 and 5. I think everybody is concerning about the timeline. The team worked very hard, really devoted, committed with a lot of talented team member. We are on target. We are in 2025. This is exactly what we are doing, site preparation for construction. And I will leave a little bit more detail for future firm to fill you in later on in a moment. And when we prepare the site, definitely site preparation, safety, and community and responsibility is on top of our priority. We are committed to minimize environmental impact and safeguard public health. For the construction, the city of Chicago enforces specific environmental safety standards to protect public health and the environment. And we study and we have experts standing around us to say, hey, we need to do this, we need to do that. And we are committed to comply to all those requirements. And some of the key approach or the city requirement includes demolition notice of intent, asbestos management. Now, this part is already done, completed. Dust and debris control, including on-site dust monitor. So then, I never seen one done, but the goal is not to have like dust flying all over the air. Okay, debris recycling compliance.
Yeah, so just so that
Yeah.
you know, and maybe your demolition person will cover this as well, but as buildings are being demolished, it is a requirement of the city of Chicago with the clean air ordinance that dust monitors be set up in and around the site. So if the dust monitors exceed a certain level, everything has to stop.
Yeah, we need to stop. Yeah.
So part of what they do is they have water hoses and everything to really clamp down on the dust floating around.
Yeah. So with those like device on site, we will monitor it closely. When it gets too high, we will stop the operation until we fix it. And then schools construction, when we get into the construction, again, safety is also our top priority. Our commitment is again to meet environmental safety standards and provide a secure environment for students, staff, and visitors. Future firm has put a lot of emphasis on making sure when they design the building, it will be a safe place for learning. Illinois Environmental Protection Agency also mandate that school undergo a structural process within its site remediation program to ensure that environmental conditions are safe for human health. Now, we know that because of the deconstruction, before we get to deconstruction, we need to concern about environmental health. And so therefore, soils, tanks underneath, all these will be taken care of. We will be enrolling in this SRP, which is Site Remediation Program. We would be definitely providing site investigation report, remediation objective report, remedial action plans, remedial action completion report, and issuance of the no further remediation letter. So that is our goal. As far as envisioning into the completion of Project Nehemiah, what would the impact, what kind of impact will Project Nehemiah bring to Bridgeport? Currently, we could only serve 95 middle school and elementary students. That's our capacity. In the future, we are able to serve 220 middle school and elementary students. Right now, we could only serve 49 infants to preschool, but actually this 49 is only 3 years old and 4 years old because the facility is not capable to house any youngest child. So in the future, we are able to enroll 123, and that will include 6 months and above. For after school right now, we push it to the max. If we push it to the max, we could serve about 100 students. In the future, we could definitely double the capacity. And if you look at community collaboration, right now, we have 0 hours that we could provide. But in the future, we could at least provide 1,148 hours of venue availability. It's not only the availability allowing other organizations to come in to use the facility, but the collaboration of it is very valuable. So with that, I'm sure that as I was presenting to you, you probably formulate some question. I encourage you to put it in chat, and after design update, then we will open up for Q&A. Now I'm going to turn the platform to Anne Louis from Future Firm.
Great, thank you. Maybe I'll advance here and then you'll be able to see. So thank you all for coming tonight, and we're so excited to be able to share an update about the design of Pui-Tak Christian School at its future location with you all. Oh, here we go. Oh, sorry, somehow I jumped back to the beginning. I think I'll go all the way down. You use this
Maybe
one,
it's
Jen,
easier.
Oh yeah, sorry.
There we
No digital presentation without some technical issues. Okay, we're so excited to share this with you. I will say for us at Future Firm and on behalf of the whole team, we really see design as a process. So we're looking forward to your feedback and comments and through this update. When we started the design process, we heard 3 goals really from Pui-Tak Christian School and its community. One, that the project would meet the neighborhood scale, that the design of the new school would align with the neighborhood's character and the adjacent buildings. Second, that this is an opportunity for really wonderful outdoor space for students, but also therefore this would be a garden-like site environment, that it would be a kind of garden in the middle of the city. And lastly, that the design would be an opportunity for the school to connect to the community. Bonnie mentioned this wonderful multi-purpose event space, and you'll see in the design how that's been provided for a range of different events. We've always talked about it as being a kind of second living room for the community of Bridgeport and adjacent neighborhoods. Oh, sorry, I keep somehow going back to the end. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna get this one more time and then second time is okay, here we go. So if you see that yellow dot to the north, that's the current location of Pui-Tak Christian School and the site as we're discussing in Bridgeport on the bottom left of the screen. It's located on Canal Street. I think what is really
Sorry, I'm on the wrong slide.
Oh yeah, no, we're good. I think what we're so excited about is when we mapped all the locations of where current students live, we found that 90% are either in 1 mile radius from the future site or within 1 mile of a connecting train, the orange, the red, or the green line. And the school expects this to be the demographic that continues. So this is a really kind of really wonderful way that folks can either arrive by foot or by train or by bus to the new site. This is the site on South Canal Street. And I think some of you may be familiar, these are the location of a former bait and tackle shop and a boat repair shop in the 2 masonry buildings. As I mentioned, the site I think is really well served by transit just south of 31st Street there. So close to both the 31st Street bus and the number 44, and then very close to the Red Line station entry that's right to the east of there. Just to talk first about
I'm trying to manage too many things.
No,
at once.
keep
So
going.
I'm not keeping up.
Oh yeah,
Here
here
we
we
go.
go. We're here, perfect.
I'm trying
I'll
to
go a
get
little
you
bit slower
just,
too.
no, I'm trying to get you, I'm trying to spotlight the speaker.
Oh, great,
Yeah.
great. I think we want to start first by talking about how we approach the site before we jump into the building itself. And we really wanted to focus on good access design that would minimize impact to the neighborhood and also facilitate drop off and access for the school and its community. So first we see that the teacher and staff parking is at the rear of the site off of the alley. We've provided 18 parking spaces here, which is more than what is required by the zoning code recommendations. And is really similar to the way that you think about the garages on the kind of on the west side of the alley as well. The teachers really only come in the morning and at the end of the day. So this isn't seeing a lot of in and out traffic during the course of the day. This is really for staff when they arrive for work and then they leave. And then on the next slide, we see in blue. This.
Come on, Alderman.
Who's operating the slide here?
I know.
We're looking at the west lane of Canal Street for the elementary school drop off. So there are 12 spaces there. And Pwetuck did a wonderful job of videotaping their current drop off and pickup on Wentworth, which, as you guys know, is a much busier street than Canal, as well as timing the time it takes for the parents to get the kids out of the car or back into the car. We use the additional kind of spaces as well as the traffic study developed by CLOA and the timing that was provided by Pwetuck to project that even at peak times, this is really only an 8 to 10 minute drop off period. And that there's also going to be a staggered drop off that's organized by the school and controlled through teachers and parents. And then on the next slide in purple, you'll see that we're providing on-site drop-off for early childhood education. So parents who are bringing kids and toddlers and the kids can't walk into school on their own, you're parking your car and you're bringing baby into the school. There are 9 spaces here that are provided for early childhood education. And those spaces after the initial drop-off will turn into visitor parking. So if you're a parent who needs to come by the site and meet with a teacher, you'll be able to park there. The school is committed to hiring a crossing guard so that you'll see that south curb cut. No parents will be allowed to turn left from there. There's only a right turn, and that crossing guard will work very closely with parents, teachers, and students to make sure there's no kind of conflicts between students arriving and cars leaving that drop-off area. And then not to get too much into this slide with many bullet points, we can come back here if we need to. I think we just wanted to emphasize that through the site design, we're focused on balanced access design, including well-planned access and parking. The school operationally is committed to staggered pickup and drop off throughout the course of the day. The school is working to onboard a digital app system so parents really know exactly when to show up and don't have any early arrivals. And that Bonnie has also emphasized Pwetuck's commitment to the smooth process of pickup and drop off. The parents really comply right now and listen to the teachers. And
They're doing good.
They're doing really great. Even on Wentworth, I think there's a very smooth process, and that's a credit to how kind of elegantly and well choreographed this process is run, and will continue to be so in the Bridgeport location. So now to jump into the part that the kind of fun part, I get to show you a little bit around the design for the future school. Some of the precedents we looked at, and we looked at schools across the US and also internationally to come up with a school that really reflected the ethos and the community of Pwetuck Christian School, so that when you arrive there, it feels like a really distinct location that reflects the kind of wonderful pedagogy and focus of joy of learning. We'll go to the next slide. This brings you into the first floor. So just to orient you, across the bottom of the slide here is Canal Street. So north is to the right of the page. What you see, the spaces in the blue bar on the ground floor of the building will be early childhood education. So these are the babies and toddlers. And you can see on the east side, there are those dedicated toddler bathrooms for potty training kids on the way. And then on the south side of the site, the area in orange, this is what we're starting to call the dedicated creative wing and community hall. These are areas for enrichment learning, science lab, art studio, and music room that also connect to small outdoor classrooms on the south side of the site. And this is also going to be a space that's dedicated to after-school learning. And you can see that this is kind of intentionally separated from the blue bar of the building. So this is an area that can really focus on Pwetuck's commitment to serve the community through both their own programming as well as partner programming. Been working with site designs team and could get into this much further, but they're coming up with a wonderful series of nature-based play areas. Site design, of course, was the landscape architect on Paul Mazzano Park, and probably every great playground you go with your kids is a site design playground. So these are spaces that will be
Pingtown
inspired.
Park too.
And Pingtown Park, yes,
Just-
yeah. All
just
the
saying.
shout outs. I mean,
Movie field.
yeah. Any place you go and you're like, this is a great place for kids and to hang out outside.
They got a lot of
is site
fingerprints in the
design.
11th ward right now.
There are spaces kind of throughout, adjacent to the classrooms as well as to the south, as I mentioned before. And then you'll see there's a terrace play area
Yeah.
coming up.
I'm
of
just gonna
level
blow
two
that up a little bit
too.
so people can see that a little bit
Yeah.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could spend the whole meeting on this, but there are exciting areas to this. We work to talk to the teachers to understand what kind of outdoor spaces they need for their pedagogy. So a science teacher might expand a curriculum to include an outdoor area, or even a music teacher might use an outdoor classroom to incorporate the sounds of nature in music learning. Now I'm just going to take you through a few renderings. I think for me, it's always easier to imagine a space when you're looking at it in perspective rather than just on a plan. So this first view, this is a view towards the front entry. You'll see we have an extra large vestibule that we call the super vestibule space. That is part of the drop-off sequencing. So students can wait there and be staged until their parents arrive, and then they are escorted by a teacher to the car to make that process very smoothly. On the next slide, this is an area for students to gather. It could be a breakout space for some of the older classes, or an area for students to gather as part of what we're calling the chapel stair. And you'll see on the south wall of this area, we're holding space for a commissioned artwork by a local artist that will be a part of a process that the school runs as we get a little bit closer to the project being built. On the next slide, this is a view of one of the early childhood education classrooms. We'll get into the design of the exterior wall later, but you'll see here you have the little kid height windows. So if you are only 1.5 feet tall, you can still see outside. And then you also see the access to the bathroom there for teachers who are working actively with the students. And then in the next slide, we'll talk shortly about the ramp, but one of the things you may notice is different about the school design than other school designs is that our hallway on the ground floor is particularly wide. That's because we're thinking about this space almost like a town square or a main street for the school. It's not just a place that you go from one classroom to the next. It's a place where you're going to be a kindergartner is going to see their sibling from the 6th grade, or you might meet a teacher who you might otherwise meet over the course of the day. We heard from the Pwetuck community right now, sometimes because of the way that the current classrooms are isolated, students might not be able to engage kind of intergenerationally, but that will change, I think, in this new location in an exciting way. And then this is level 2. So you see these are kindergarten through 8th grade classrooms, as well as a language lab, and then the gymnasium multi-purpose event space. Out the back of that multi-purpose event space to the top of the page, that green area, one of the exciting spaces we're proposing is that students will be able to exit there, then go down a series of terrace play areas, each one of which is dedicated to a different grade. So 7th and 8th graders get to hang out and study. 5th and 6th graders get to listen to music or meditate or whatever it is that they want to be doing together, all the way down to the little kids in the dedicated play area on the ground floor. One of the things that you also see on this plan is this big slot in the middle of the building. And we'll come back to that in a second. This is a kind of symbolic ramp so that as students ascend up through the ramp, they're also ascending in age through the school. On the next page, Bonnie mentioned this. We are excited that the gym space is actually designed to serve multiple uses. And this is really actually how Pwetuck uses many of their spaces now as multifunctional, right? So while it is sized for a middle school basketball court, it is also a place that you could host a town hall meeting or a Thanksgiving event or a visiting speaker or reading group.
Or a community meeting.
Or a community meeting, just like this. So
I mean, I could use a little bit more space here.
so next time we can have triple the amount, or everybody online can show up in person and we can do that in this space. So we're really excited to think about how this can be designed to be very flexible for a range of uses. And then on the next slide, this is a view, what we call a section. So looking kind of straight at it at that ramp. What we're thinking about is often in schools, we want spaces to be designed for the scale of the little kid. So up the ramp, there'll be a series of spaces for play, for study, and for storage. So everyone feels like they have a space for themselves, whether it's to store their shoes or to sit and study with their peers. And then on our next slide, sorry, we're really trying to get through this so we could get to questions too. I think one of the things that we're excited about, some of you who may have followed a kind of early study for this project know that we've been able to reduce the building down to 2 stories. And this is both wonderful because I think it aligns more with the character of the neighborhood and the height of the adjacent buildings, but it also allows the center space to be filled with natural light and for there to be the visual connection between level 1 and level 2. And then I mentioned the exterior wall design. The windows grow relative to the kids growing up. So you have the little window for the little kids, the taller window for the bigger kids. And then when you get to the middle school, there's also going to be built-in storage and a seat. So that could also be programmable area. And we're really still studying what the exterior wall of this building looks like, but we're trying to pull from a range of kind of natural and durable materials that contribute to this sense of a kind of garden in the city, while bringing in natural light to the building, but while also trying to minimize having too much glass in order to kind of keep the sustainability strategies of the project forward. And then here you see the entry to the school building. So that's the gym, kind of taller gym building with the creative wing below, and then the classroom bar to the right. And then lastly, I think we just wanted to highlight the sustainability features of the project. It's been really wonderful working with DBHMS, who's the leading sustainability engineer in Chicago. I'll go ahead and let loose that humble brag for them. We're looking at a geothermal well field system, so the building will be all electric. Bonnie has been talked about the previous 74 years of the school, and we're really looking at the next 70, 80 years to come and how to minimize both operating costs as well as impact on the environment as a whole. And then there's a series of other kind of passive strategies, everything from a pollinator garden to bring back local planting and flora and fauna in the gardens, as well as the solar ready rooftop so that the school has capacity to reduce its operating costs, but also minimize impact on the environment through generating power on site. We'll also be managing stormwater on site, which, as we all know, everywhere in Chicago is a kind of critical issue. So the school is really committed to being a good neighbor at the scale of the neighborhood and as the city as well. Okay, that's it for me. So I think we can hand it over for questions. And we have, I'll say on the design side, we have the expanded team here. So if there are any subject matter experts who need to chime in, I'll point to other people who can jump in.
Do we want to talk about timing of demolition yet? No, yes?
We could talk about demolition.
Yeah, do you want to jump in? on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Basic timeline, we're looking at end of September to early October to start the site prep and begin demolition. And that's kind of our timeline right now, but before that would happen, our contractor
Yeah.
would alert the neighborhood so that you guys know what to expect and the timeline. It doesn't take very long because they're taking a kind of a deconstruction approach. It's very careful, hand deconstruction. They'll be recycling a lot of the building materials and a lot of the timber and heavy timber beams. So it'll be a quieter demo than a typical.
Yeah, and we'll likely do another town hall or another community meeting closer to the date of the demolition so that the demolition company can be here to answer very specific questions.
Actually,
I think
Mike is here. So
Okay.
Mike, are you here? Can you?
I am here and I'm available to answer any questions you guys have right now. Anything you got, I'm here.
That's great to know. Thank you.
Maybe you could give them a briefing on the approach, the plan on how to deconstruct the building.
Yeah, absolutely. Tracy hit on it well. Well, first, let me introduce myself. My name is Mike Dieterich. I'm project manager for Alliance Demolition. Alliance Demolition we're in our 19th year. We are headquartered here in Chicago, and we have a really good relationship with the city. We're a Class A contractor, which is the highest pre-qualification the city of Chicago has for its demolition contractors. And we're very familiar with the stakeholders, surrounding a project like this. So we're glad to be a part of the project, and I'm glad I'm here to answer any questions you guys may have. But our approach to this project, without getting into too much detail as far as the paperwork and things like that, is exactly what Tracy said. It's more of a dismantlement, and that's driven by the recycling and salvage nature. So the masonry buildings on site are timber frame and Chicago Common Brick, both of which have salvage value. So part of the demolition business and coming up with our pricing is taking into account the salvage value of those materials. And with our specialized equipment, aside from machinery, there's some proximity to existing structures where we are going to be doing a lot of hand demolition. So it's a little bit slower at the beginning before we bring in some specialized equipment to continue the dismantlement process. The equipment outside of the hand demolition is something that gives us a very high amount of control. We're talking about rotating grapples that can reach out and grab and slowly take brick without damaging it, or grab a timber without damaging it. So it's a very calculated process, and it is to our advantage to use this type of equipment to protect that salvage value of those buildings.
Great.
Yeah, we are paying attention to the neighbor right next to us. We want to protect that building very much. And so that's why that whole section will be manual labor, brick by brick.
So we'll open it up for questions. If you've got a question online, please go ahead and use the raise your hand function. If you've got a question in the room, you can just raise your hand here. So are there any questions in the chat that we can start with? Yeah, I can pull it up.
Martin, I don't know, Martin, do you want to come off mute to clarify? It's just a little unclear who he is, but this question reads, once we move to a new school building, will we provide school buses for students?
At this moment, there's no plan for providing school bus, but if you remember one of the slide that shows the demographic, a lot of our students are in walking distance and also public transportation, really local people. We have a few that is really far, even buses, will be picking up too far away. So at this moment, we don't have a plan, but when we actually in the building, we will monitor to see if there is increasing need. Then we will consider.
That was the only question in the chat. Any questions in the room? You might have to start calling on people, Principal.
Has everyone done that?
Those who have your hand up.
Right. I know we've got a lot of folks on the online listening and watching. I suspect lots of residents as well in the area. Are there any neighbors who've got any questions in particular?
This is your chance.
It's not a speak now or forever hold your peace sort of deal either. For those of you who have not participated in one of these community meeting calls previously for the 11th Ward, I am recording this. This will go up on our YouTube channel. People can watch it to their heart's content later. If there are questions, we'll absolutely field them and pass them along to the appropriate folks to answer them as well.
And we will try our best to keep in touch with you as the project goes along. Any question on site? Any comment, any feedback? Yes.
During the previous design, about half of parking was saved for employees and staff at the school. Is that still the intent with the new design?
With the new design, the parking in the back are reserved for staff, which is right now above requirement.
That's this right here.
For visitor, instead of underneath the gym, right now is in front of the school. After the drop off and pick up, those are reserved like on property, not on the curb.
Right.
Those are for visitors.
Right, so these would be the
Yeah.
visitor parking spaces after the drop off period is over with.
Correct.
So there's 9 parking spaces here off street. And then there's
18.
18 in the back for staff.
Right. We would not be able to use all 18 right away. This is like budgeting for maximum staffing. For special events, like for whole school events, we are so blessed with our very, very wonderful neighbor across the street who gave us their commitment, allow us to use their property.
One question in the chat, from Alice, who says, will there be notifications prior to demolition days? And maybe you could take the opportunity to clarify.
Yeah, so there will be notification. We will hold another meeting just like this so that the demolition folks can absolutely walk us through what day they're gonna start, what the hours of operation will be. They'll get into a little bit more detail about the dust mitigation and air monitor stuff. I've been through at least one or two of these demolition meetings before,
You're
so
the pro
I,
guy.
I would never call myself the pro, but I know enough to be dangerous. So there will absolutely be notification. I don't, and, I think you can answer our demolition expert. I think the hours can be determined by the company, but not within, obviously, we want this to not be happening too early in the morning. There's a citywide
City,
ordinance
yeah.
that you can't, that won't be happening at like 6 in the morning. I don't think they can do anything technically until like 8 in the morning.
That's
And yeah, and then I don't anticipate that they would be working past 5 o'clock
Nope.
on any given day.
And that's more specific to the noise ordinance.
Right.
The start and stop
Yeah.
times.
Did we miss anything?
One question,
Oh,
Chris.
Go ahead.
It's from Marie, actually, but, it understands that in the past, PTCS had a drama teacher. Not sure if this is still the case. In the new building, will there be rehearsal space available for drama kids?
Drama, you mean theater?
Yeah.
That is my dream. I have a background in fine art, and that's why my dream is to develop the after-school art school that with performance based and with a lot of art elements. So we will be opening up like job opportunity for people who are in art and as well as in other subject. Yeah, you had a question, right?
Yeah, so I saw the portion where some of the students are mostly within a 1 mile radius of the school, the proposed school, which is great. I love that they can use the bus and the train. And we're also relatively close, my wife and I, our
Mhm.
son.
Little nugget
It's,
over
yeah,
there.
yeah. It's, brand new, real brand new.
Is that the reason why you're here?
Yeah, that's why we're here, yeah, so maybe keep our options open. Is there something similar for the, I guess, employees? Like how close are they from the new proposed school to, you know, how many of the employees could take public transit or buses or kind of walk towards?
We have done a survey
Yeah.
of our current staff, but I'm not a number person. I don't remember exactly the number.
Sure.
But that's why I said we will not be able to use all of the parking space because a percentage of them are taking public transportation.
That's great, that's
Yeah.
good to hear. That's
And
great
also
to hear.
walking.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
Maybe we'll get more frequency on that number 31 bus.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
would, I
Right,
would
yeah.
love to hear that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like this could drive some other things.
Yes,
I think
it
it
will-
could,
it will.
I think it could.
Yeah. Any other questions? No? Don't be shy. It's a friendly room. I'll say just a couple of things. I think that there was quite a bit of concern from a lot of different parties about this school being constructed in an area that really, doesn't have a whole lot of traffic right now. You are in proximity to Sox Park. I can't bring myself to call it Rayfield or guarantee Rayfield. Sox Park it is, because there will never be another Comiskey. Anyway, on the days that we have games, and I know that that's one of the things that we didn't necessarily talk about here in this room, but Bonnie, I know that we've talked about it,
Mhm.
is coordination of pickup and drop off times with Healy Elementary, which we know is a very large school, just located a couple blocks away. And then during Sox games, I think everybody has to have just sort of the awareness of the schedule and when the day games are happening, when the evening games are happening, and trying to coordinate to not have like report card pickup on a night that the Sox have a game, right? So that is something we'll just make everybody aware of, and we work with all of the businesses in the area. We'll provide passes and things like that for any of your visitors who don't live in the area that like maybe need to park on a night that something's going on.
Can I add
Yes,
some
sure.
color to that?
Please.
First, just thank you for hosting this. Really appreciate you having us here. Just for background. I'm Erin Cabanargi, I'm the Development Advisor, but I used to run the Public Building Commission of Chicago for 10
Oh,
years.
you know a couple
So we
things.
built the Chinatown Library, but many, many schools. And so I can offer that schools that are constructed in the city of Chicago have to work very, very closely in our permitting process and the engagement process with the Department of Transportation. Every school of scale,
Mhm.
especially those that are close to a special purpose use like
The ballpark.
the
yeah.
ballpark, yeah. Have what's called a TMA, a traffic management
Mhm.
agreement. So it will plan for pickup and drop off sequencing on a regular day, but then also on special occasions. So the
Gotcha.
scenario running will certainly take place.
Excellent, thank you for that.
Certainly.
And we
So many experts in the
also,
room, I love it.
we also had an initial meeting with the principal at Healy.
Ed Healy.
Yeah, and they are very cooperative, and when the time comes, we will meet again, and then we will coordinate with each other, so we don't like run into each other too much.
Design team has also preliminary met with CDOT as well to get their feedback and buy-in on the drop off and access to the site.
Great. Can you talk a little bit about timing at this point? I know, I'm just gonna go back to your timeline slide for a second here. Just to sort of root everybody back in where we are. So it's all site preparation in this year. Demolition planned for the fall. Do you think you're gonna put a shovel in the ground in 26, or is that going to be a little while yet? Like,
I
what
wish
are
we
the-
could.
Okay.
It really depending on funding. We are at a little over 1/3 of our goal. We will continue to work on funding. We want to be responsible. We don't want to dig ground until we are very certain that we have certain percentage of the funding coming in. So you could help us by donating or introducing wealthy people to us. This could happen tomorrow. But right now we are on target, and if we could start demolition in the fall, funding comes in, then we could start, digging. We will update you if we have a big donor come in and say, hey, we're ready.
But for right now, just so that the neighbors especially can have a sense of what's going on. You want to take the site down. Can you talk about why you're going to take the site down now before, so far in advance before you're actually going to break ground on construction of the school?
Right, the site is an industrial site, and so we've done some initial environmental studies with our environmental engineer, and he's done a very lengthy study of the site, and there's a lot of cleanup that we need to do and some additional testing, soil testing, and then a lot of coordination with our design team. So the new building's footprint and where that crosses some of these areas that have hot spots that need to be cleaned, there's just a tremendous amount of coordination that we have to do as a team. It's a little bit more academic, I think, than tactical at the moment. So as we complete those studies, then that will turn into an action plan. As we were talking about the environmental requirements for the NFR letter, I think Erin could speak to the enormous effort that's going to be for the school to invest in an environmental cleanup of the site to get the no further remediation letter, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it is a timely process. You saw on the slide that there's a remedial objectives report, a remedial action plan, a remediation completion report. We call them RAPROR, RACR. We've got all sorts of acronyms for you, but it is a mandatory process in the state of Illinois for a school. And so the process we undertake has regulatory response times from the EPA. So it is something where you'll submit and the EPA has 60 days to get back to you. You may have a correction to make, then the 60 days start again. So it's
Well,
a very
who knows with the
iterative.
EPA right now?
Right,
Let's be honest.
So the reality is it's a timely process and it's something that we have to undertake with the utmost care because we're dealing with our most sensitive population and young children. So it's something that we take very, very seriously.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I just wanted to give everybody a sense of that. So nothing is happening in the very short term. The soonest something will happen will be this demolition in the fall. It had just been some time since we'd come together to provide any sort of update. Bonnie and I and her team have talked many times since the last time we brought the public together, but please know that the Freetown Christian School has been keeping us apprised of all of the of all of the plans as they've changed. We're really excited, for the new plans, and I got to see a lot of it. I think it's, gonna be a beautiful school and a nice addition to our community. I know, change is change, and sometimes that's a little bit more challenging for folks. I appreciate that, you've taken all the feedback that's been provided over a series of meetings, to really take into consideration, and the reduction of the scale, I think, definitely meets with the character of the community a lot more. I think, the original plan had at least four, yeah, a couple more stories on top. You know, I think this is gonna be a really great addition to the community, and appreciate everybody coming out. And if there are other questions that come up, if you're somebody that's watching this as a recording and you can't ask questions live, please feel free to, send the questions our way to the 11th Ward. It's just Ward 11 at cityofchicago.org. And we'll endeavor to get those answers for you. But I wish you all really well on this journey. I know that, we're part of the way there, and God willing, we'll all be celebrating this, maybe when that little guy right there, ready to be in one of those like low window rooms. Yeah. Any other questions? One last call. Is there anything in the chat that I missed? Matt?
So once the school has been completed, is it a gradual ramp up to accommodate the new capacity, or are there already families on a wait list that would
Great question.
immediately enter the school system?
As of now, we don't have a long waiting list, but as we expand the school, we also expand not just the facility, but the school in itself. So then there are plans in terms of marketing and in introducing the new school to the public, but we are not there yet. So we are very busy with this first, but then when the right time comes, we will reach out to the community. Yeah.
You build it, they will come.
Yeah.
go.
Will you guys maintain the school that's in Chinatown, or this is gonna
This
completely replace?
It's not our facility.
Oh, okay.
The church allow us to use it free of charge. So we've been enjoying the grace from them. And so we will return the space so that the church will have a lot more freedom to run the program. Yeah.
That church in Chinatown has done a lot of it. Mrs. Wu is here. Mrs. Wu taught there for many, many, many years. And she's seen generations of Chinatown residents through that school. But I used to play volleyball there on Friday nights, basketball. I'm sure kids still probably do that, but the facility in Chinatown itself, I think, returning that to the church, it will enable just expansion of programs and more use for the community space. And this will be a great extension and expansion of your programs.
I want to once again thank you for coming to this meeting and on site and online. Really, really blessed to have you walking along the journey and your love and concern about the future of the school. I get it. So thank you very much. And I'm a very blessed person, very fortunate and blessed because I have people like wonderful people walk before me, like Alderman Lee was mentioning, Mrs. Wu. She passed the baton to me about 13 years ago, and she was the second principal in the history of 72 years, and I'm the third. And then we have a lot of great community leader here, like CW and Grace Chan. Thank you very much for showing your support in such a way. And David Wu from Pujak Center, also our board member, and then Zach, also church leader, as well as our board member. So, and then Tom Palmisano, definitely a great contributor to the Bridgeport community. So thank you so very much. We like to give you a little gift on your way out. We prepare a little gift for you. For those who are online, I cannot give it to you like that. But if you stop by our school, we'll make it up for you. We'll give it to you.
Incentive to stop by the school.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks again for joining us. Like I said, we'll post this to our YouTube channel, the 11th Ward YouTube channel. There'll be a link to it in our newsletter at the end of the week. If you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out. And we'll probably reconvene another one of these, a month or so before the scheduled demolition. All right?
All right. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
everybody. Good night.
Appreciate it.